Well, hello and welcome. Now today, the plan, if it all goes to plan that is to replace the fan assembly on the Dodge here. I ordered another one from the States. I found one on Facebook, so it's hopefully sat in the box down there as a suitable replacement, but until I open it, who knows what's in there. So let's go and have a look inside and just see what I ended up buying. Marvellous, just starting to rain, but just to recap, this is the first fan assembly that the car had, and you might notice one of the blades is missing. That went through the radiator and was all very unfortunate. Then I bought a replacement, which is this one, and then after a little while this pulley assembly all came apart, and it's possible that it could be fixed, but this is very thin tin metal. The other option was perhaps to have one made, slightly more substantial pulley to sit on there, but this belt sits on. But to be honest, I thought I'd just have a look, see if I could find another one, and that's where this one turned up. Oh, it's starting to rain even more now. Marvellous. So I've not opened this, so it's all a bit of a mystery. What I'm expecting is a fan assembly, same type as this, but I know a couple of the blades are bent on the ends, so I'm just hoping it's not too big of a problem. So let's go and have a delve inside and see if I can open this up without slicing my fingers open, because that would be all very unfortunate. Health and safety to the fore, of course. Let's see what we've got in here then, and hopefully the blades won't need too much straightening out. There we go. All very well packed. Thank you to the gentleman in the States who went to the trouble of posting this over. So lots of packing material. Pop that over there. And hopefully in here, just pop that to one side. There'll be something usable. So it's a bit of a gamble buying off the internet, so let's see what I've ended up with. To be honest, that doesn't look too bad. The blades aren't bad at all, actually. Seems free. Probably wants greasing up and a bit of a clean. I'm sure we can do something with that. Fortunately, this bit, which is damaged on the other one, is okay. In fact, this one is a slightly smaller diameter than this one, but it should be okay. Looking at this, there seems to be a lot of braze around here, which suggests that maybe someone's had a bit of a go at cobbling this up before in the dim and distant past. I mean, a lot can happen over 100 years, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is even off a different car altogether and it's just been adapted to fit. So this may be the original, but fortunately there's loads of adjustment on it, so I see no issue with fitting this belt on there. But I'm just going to have to give it a bit of a clean up and just make sure these blades are straight. I think I'll straighten this one up a little bit and see where we go from there. So back soon. Yep, it's definitely raining now, so the plan is to pop this into the vise and just gently straighten these blades. The mounting pieces here for the blades are pointing in the right direction, so really all I need is to gently coerce these blades back into straightness to follow the angle that's set by here. So I'll just crack on with that now, and hopefully it'll stop raining. Okay, well, that's the blade straightened a little bit, and now time to clean off some of this Clagill mud around here and see what's what. I think long term I'll probably look at fitting this fan assembly onto here, but for now, because I don't want to get into disturbing where the fan's mounted here, because it's pinned on. If we look at this one, you can see it's pinned on I don't really want to mess around with all that at the moment. So for now, I think the plan will be to clean this one up, give it a wipe over with a dab of paint, make it look presentable. I'm going to swap the greasing thingy over. I've taken that one off. I'm sure it works okay, but the one on the second fan assembly, the second one that I've had on the car, is a lot cleaner and smarter looking, so I think I'll end up swapping that over. But for now, I'm just going to clean off all this craggy stuff and just make it, spruce it up a little bit more. Also helps me see if there are any cracks anywhere. It's a shame the weather's not better, but not to worry. Certainly looking a bit better. And I'll give it a dust over with paint. Oops. It appears to be raining. Okay, well, the idea is to bring it up to oily ragability, and it seems to be getting there. I don't want it looking perfect because the rest of it certainly doesn't look perfect, so this blade is still to clean. These ones have been cleaned back, and the idea is I think I'll just dust a little bit of black over, then sort of tone it down a little bit, and then probably give it a quick wax over, just so it looks sort of oily ragged rather than brand shiny new, because nothing else on this near 100-year-old car is looking new. So the last thing I want is a super shiny fan assembly. All it has to be is clean and work, and at least this way I can also see if any cracks begin to develop around these rivets, because ever since that blade came off I'm a little bit paranoid now about 100-year-old fan assemblies on old cars. So yep, it's just a little bit more cleaning to do, and then a dab, the merest dab of paint, I think. Well, it's looking fairly clean now, so the idea, because I don't want it looking new, is get some rattle can, which we happen to have here, a bit of satin black, and I'm going to spray it onto a rag and then just wipe it over in places on the fan blades and on here, just to spruce it up a little bit, and then I'll oily rag the whole lot, apart from this bit obviously, and then have a look at fitting it on. Okay, well, that's the reverse side done. I've literally just sprayed it onto a rag and wiped it over, and what it does is it just brings up any of the original black paint that was still like on here, so it sort of freshens it up a bit and brings it up to a nice oily rag look without it looking as if it's just been painted, which I didn't want it to look like. So that can just be drying off. I might just get some wire wool and just take some of the paint off the ends rather than paint the tips, but just take a little bit of the paint off and just shine them up a little bit before I oily rag it, and see how it looks when it's all finished. But yep, I'll just wait for the paint to dry and then spin it over and do the other side. Okay, time to do the same on this side, and again just to freshen up what paint remains, but not to repaint it. Obviously if this was a show car then you'd strip it all and repaint it and do it all tickety boo, but that's not the point here. This is purely just to spruce it up before an oily rag and just tone down any bits where there's a little bit of surface rust, just like on the end there. Just takes your eye off it without looking brand new, and then it looks as if it's always been there, which is the name of the game. Let's just get around here, let's put a bit in there, just wipe it around. It dries fairly quickly because it's so thin, the layer of paint that you're wiping on, so you don't want to be dawdling. bit of a doings. And it'll also protect a little bit where the paint has gone altogether, and it just tones down those bits. And just gives it a nice oily rag look, which is how I like things to look. I'm not big on the bonnet cosmetics and painting and re-chroming everything and putting chrome where chrome never existed. I'm certainly not that fussed about having the bonnet up while I'm at a show, so it doesn't really matter. So again, this end, the end of this blade, has just got a little bit, if you can see it, there's a little bit of corrosion at the end, so we'll just give it a little wipe over. Plus this way I'm not hiding anything below layers and layers of paint, so if any cracks or faults do develop, I've got a chance of spotting them, because I'll be keeping a very close eye on this fan assembly once it's installed. Just put a bit on the end there. Sure, this is riveting viewing, but gives you an idea of what goes on. This way it sort of brings up the blackness of the original paint without overpainting it too much. And restorers will be holding their heads in their hands watching this, I'm sure. But this isn't a restoration channel, this isn't a classic car restoration channel, this is just me messing about with old cars, trying to keep them on the road. Apologies for the sound of rain, but this is England, and this is October. There we go. So that'll do for that, I think. That'll just dry off. And then, once it's installed, I'll just wipe it over with an oily rag just to protect it a little bit more. And then we're good to go. So, all it needs, a tin of paint, and a trusty rag for the oily rag look. And while that dries, I'll just show you what it's due to be replacing. Past the other two fans, over to the Dodge. So yeah, it was a few years ago I rigged up this electric fan assembly. It's not pretty, but it was all I had in the garage at the time to get us to a show, because otherwise we wouldn't have made the show at all. So I rigged this up, and it has actually worked for the last 2 or 3 years, but my lad hates it and he's always pointing out inappropriate electric fans on cars at shows, so I really do need to do something about it. I managed to use existing holes alongside the radiator, so I didn't have to drill anything. And I'm not sure what this is off properly, an old BMW or something like that. So it looks terrible, but it did do the job. But I think it's time for it to go. So we're going to have a bite to eat, I think. Let that paint dry, what paint there is, and then have a look at taking this off and putting the replacement mechanical fan back on. So I'll be back soon. Well, that's all dried off and it's looking pretty good, so I think we'll go and look at taking the old electric fan off the Dodge and get that gone and out of the way. Okay, so I need to have a look in here. So I've got the wiring running up here, so I think the thing to do is the battery's already disconnected, so I'll unplug all this, get the wiring out. I'm not quite sure where I got the feed from for the power to the switch, but I'll have a look at that now. Get rid of this and then go and dig out that replacement fan and see if it'll fit. Well, surprisingly fiddly. At least the makeshift fan is off. It's all starting to look a little bit more like it should do. The only thing I've got to do is clamber under the dashboard and figure out where it was getting its live feed from. The green wire is the one, so I'm going to get a screwdriver and have a clamber about underneath. And the feed is that green wire going to the back of the light switch, so I just need to try and get that off, which will be fun. Now, the last thing to check is the greaser in here. Now this is the greaser off the previous fan assembly, but what I'm going to do, I've had a quick rifle through a box of old grease nipples, and this one appears to fit, so I'll whiz that one in. I'm going to get a grease gun and just put a spot of grease in, just to make sure that the grease is actually getting through, because this probably wants a bit of a strip down, to be honest, and just de-gunk it, because the grease in there I think is fairly old. So just to be sure, I'll go and get my grease gun on here and just whiz a little bit in there, and we should be good to go. Let's see what happens then. So, taking the bolt out, this has to sneak in here, that goes over there, that goes in here, so that can go in there, and this is your adjustment. So, one belt, not seen any use for a little while. Let's pop that on there. And the blades, around the bottom pulley. Do a bit of that. I find a spanner to nip things up with. Right. Not too tight, really. Trusty 5/8. All greased up. Found a better grease nipple to use, but I've taken it off again now. Start to get a little bit of tension on there, not much. It appears to be drizzling outside again, but at least that's all back on. I haven't adjusted it up too tightly. It looks about right, doesn't look too clean. Just need to make sure that the blade isn't going to touch the belt. And then fire it up, give it a go, and see what happens, and keep a little distance away. Well, that's everything tightened up and adjusted. So it's not too tight. It doesn't really need to be, so let's fire up and see what happens. leave it to run for a little while now, but I feel safer with the bonnet down, and I'll check it again in a short while. Well, that all appears to be working, so the fan's not hitting the radiator, it's not hitting the fan belt, so really, when the weather bucks up, I'll take it for a few local test runs just to make sure it's all playing ball. Pop a bit more grease in the greaser, I think, and fingers crossed, it should be good to go. Like I say, I'm always a bit nervous of 100-year-old mechanical fans, so I'll just take a few local hops to begin with and then see how we go from there. Anyway, hopefully that was of interest. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more in-garage action here at Old Classic Car, and see you soon for another video, hopefully. Bye bye.